Hello, I'm Emily. Welcome to Savvy Cents, where we share budgeting strategies, money saving tips, and tools to live the life that you want. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about how setting goals can help motivate you to budget. And by the end of the video, you will walk away feeling like you have a better sense of what goals you want to set for yourself and how you can actually implement those into your budget. Step number one is finding out and discovering what motivates you. What makes you tick? What are the things that you want? Do you want to eat out more with your friends? Do you wish you had a car that didn't have a payment? Do you love to travel? I think about my son who's 9 years old who loves screen time. And he's very motivated by that, but before he gets screen time, he has to earn it. He has to read, he has to do some chores, and he's really motivated to do those things because he really wants that screen time. And for me, I'm motivated right now to save money to travel. I know that the world is shut down right now. We currently live in Singapore, and I want to travel around Asia, and so I'm trying to put money away so I can do that. And so that really motivates my everyday decisions because I know that I want to have that money later. So find out what motivates you is step number one. Step two is to set short-term and long-term goals. And before I give a few examples of those, I use some guiding principles when I set goals. And these are to make them achievable. I want to make sure that I'm setting myself up for success. Usually I'll assign a number to it and an end date so that I know how long I need to be doing my goal. I only do a couple at a time. I don't want to have too many goals to work on at once or I lose sight of what I'm working on. And then I use a sinking fund tracker, basically assigns a value and a timetable of when I want to save for what our goals are. We'll also have more videos on that as well in the future. An example of some short-term goals would be saving for a kid's braces or a trip, or adding 10% of your income to your savings, pay off a credit card. Those are more things that you can see in the immediate future happening. Long-term goals would be saving for retirement. We follow Dave Ramsey's baby steps, which I'll put a link in the notes below that gives you them in more detail. But the baby steps are basically to have a $1,000 emergency fund, pay off all your debt, then have a 3 to 6 month emergency fund, put 15% retirement, save for kids' college, build wealth and give. That is step number two, which is to have short-term and long-term goals. So step number three, the one I'm most excited about, is to put those goals into your budget. And so I'm going to show you how to do that right now. Here is my Savvy Cents mock budget. And I want to share a couple of assumptions with you before I go into how I goal set and how it affects the numbers in my spreadsheet. So the first assumption is we have a $6,000 a month take-home pay. That is after taxes and anything else is taken out of your paycheck. This is what you take home every month. And then here are my everyday expenses, groceries, clothing, household, restaurants, all of the things that a lot of us spend money on. I know this part will be unique to your situation, but this is what I've chosen to put into my spreadsheet. I'm also assuming saving some money every month for college and my child's weddings, and then here's some extra savings that I have in the spreadsheet as well. And then I have sinking funds that I run every month. These are basically savings accounts that I have for all of these things so that when the time comes to pay for them, I have enough money saved to do so. Then two more things. So this extra savings bar, I'm going to highlight this so that it's easier to see. This extra savings is kind of, okay, well first I'm going to say that I do a zero-based budget. So I want all of my expected planned money to equal zero. When I subtract my expenses and all of my savings, I want that number to be zero because that means I've given every single dollar a name. Dave Ramsey is the one who taught me this, and it works beautifully. And with that said, I have an account called Extra Savings, and this is where I keep any extra that I have to make sure that number is zero. And I'll show you that a little bit more when I input our changes into the spreadsheet. So after I've given you my assumptions, let's talk about how I actually put my goals into my spreadsheet. So the first thing I do is write them down. If I have them written down, then I'm more likely to be able to refer back to them when I'm doing my monthly budget and make sure I'm always incorporating my goals into my spreadsheet. So the first goal I'm going to write in here is that my daughter Madison needs braces. I need to save up $2,200 for her braces. And we're going to make this easy numbers wise and say that she needs it in 10 months, which is pretty accurate. So I'm going to put that in there and I'm going to highlight because this is a new goal and I like to highlight things sometimes just temporarily so that I can remember that they're there. And then the other goal that I have, I want to save $250 a month towards our emergency fund. And I'm going to highlight that. I want to emphasize on this that these are Dave Ramsey's baby steps, and I write them all down even though we may not be working on all of them at once, because if you have long-term goals, it really helps you to understand the importance of budgeting now and seeing exactly what you have in your budget that's left over, because you're already working on long-term goals. Once I have those written down, I'm going to go over to my sinking fund tracker. And basically what the sinking fund tracker is it's a place for me to show how much I'm saving per month towards these different areas where I spend more money at once. So for example, with Christmas, I'm going to save $45 a month, and by the time I get to Christmas, I know that I'm going to have $450 to spend on Christmas. Now that might look different for everybody, but that's what I'm going to assume in my spreadsheet. But I only put the month in once I've actually saved the money. So right now we're in February and I've set this money aside already for all of these things. And so I have 2 new goals. I'm going to insert 2 new lines into my spreadsheet. The first one is Madison's braces. So because February is already halfway over, I'm going to start saving for braces in March. And if I go back to my goals, I know that they're going to cost $2,200. And if you divide that by 10, because she needs to get them in 10 months, that's $220 a month. So I'm just going to put $220 a month. And it looks like that by about November, December, I will have what I need there. So in March, I want to start saving $220 a month. So I'm just going to hold that there until March so that I don't forget how much I want to save. The other thing is I want to save $250 in emergency fund. So I'm going to put emergency fund here and $250 here. That's $470 new dollars that I need to come up with in my spreadsheet to start saving for these things. So I'm going to show you how I would go about doing this, and this is the tricky part that will be different for everybody based on how tight your budget is or not. I will just show you how I would do it in my spreadsheet as it is now. And so I'm going to go over to my budget, and the first thing I'm going to do is, because these are sinking funds, I'm going to go to my sinking fund section right here, and I'm going to input 2 rows. If I did my spreadsheet right, yep, we want to see negative 470. So here's where we need to do a little bit of finagling. And this is my account that I tend to use to do that. This is any extra that I have in my account to save. And it's kind of like a buffer. And we see that it's about $100 less than where we need it to be. So I need to look at my budget and see where I can either reduce some of our expenses or take away all of our savings. I know that right now in my extra savings I have $379. So I know that I want to look and see where I can save. I've talked to my husband, figured out our priorities, and we have our gardener coming every week. We've been talking for a while of doing it every other week, and us doing it those off weeks. So I'm going to reduce this to 70, okay? And that means we still have $390 to reduce from another account. This extra savings is kind of a buffer, and so I'm going to take away $240 from that. And then the last place, our current home improvement fund, we already have $3,000 saved in that, and we have no major projects that need to come up, so I'm feeling good about reducing that one for now. And then if we get bonuses or anything extra, we can throw that at that account if we would like to do so. All right, so I'm going to reduce this one by 150. And if I did all my math right, then yep, this should be 0. This is how you input some goals into your budget. Thank you so much for listening to this video. I know that you can set the goals that you want, reach your financial dreams, and be able to implement that into your budget. Savvy Sense is all about teaching budgeting strategies, sharing money saving tips, and helping you live the life that you want. So if you liked what you saw today, please go and like and hit subscribe. If you have any questions, please feel free to comment below. We would love to answer them.